Welcome to episode 120 of your CySA Plus Prepcast. In this episode, we explore a crucial component of vulnerability management that turns technical activity into measurable business value. That component is metrics and key performance indicators, commonly referred to as KPIs. Without proper measurement, organizations cannot determine how well they are managing vulnerabilities, which risks are growing, or whether remediation processes are improving. Metrics enable tracking, benchmarking, accountability, and strategic decision-making. They allow cybersecurity professionals to demonstrate progress, justify investments, and identify performance gaps. For both exam success and operational excellence, understanding how to define, implement, and apply meaningful metrics in vulnerability management is essential. One of the most basic but foundational metrics in vulnerability management is vulnerability prevalence. This metric represents the total number of vulnerabilities discovered across the organization's infrastructure during a defined reporting period. It helps establish a baseline understanding of the environment's overall exposure. Whether segmented by asset type, business unit, or severity category, this metric allows security leaders to quantify the problem and allocate appropriate resources. Another essential metric involves tracking the number of critical or high-risk vulnerabilities. Not all vulnerabilities carry the same potential for damage. By isolating and counting the most dangerous findings, organizations can focus their limited remediation capacity on the vulnerabilities that pose the greatest threat. This metric often aligns with severity ratings based on the Common Vulnerability Scoring System, ensuring that prioritization reflects established industry standards. Mean time to detect is a performance metric that evaluates how long it takes security teams to discover vulnerabilities from the moment they are introduced into the environment. This time window might begin when a vendor announces a flaw or when the vulnerability first becomes exploitable in the organization's context. Shortening this time is a sign of improved detection processes, threat intelligence integration, and continuous scanning capability. A long time to detect increases the window of exposure and elevates the risk of exploitation. Mean time to respond is another essential metric. It tracks the time from detection of a vulnerability to the initiation of remediation activities. This metric reflects the readiness and agility of response processes, including triage, decision-making, and task assignment. Long response times may indicate bottlenecks in approval chains, lack of staffing, or inefficient communication between security and operations teams. By measuring this delay, organizations can identify and correct process inefficiencies that delay critical fixes. A related but distinct metric is mean time to remediate. This value represents the total time it takes to resolve a vulnerability completely, from identification to full closure. It includes all phases from patch deployment to validation and documentation. This metric offers insight into the overall effectiveness of the vulnerability management lifecycle. Reducing remediation time helps minimize risk exposure and supports compliance with internal or external remediation timeline. Recurring vulnerability metrics focus on vulnerabilities that reappear after being previously resolved. This might occur due to failed patches, improper configurations, system rollbacks, or overlooked root causes. Tracking how often these vulnerabilities recur allows teams to assess the effectiveness of their remediation practices. Persistent recurrence can signal a need to improve verification processes or revisit the tools and techniques used to apply fixes. Accuracy metrics are also important. False positive rates represent vulnerabilities flagged by scanners that, upon inspection, prove to be invalid or irrelevant. Conversely, false negatives refer to vulnerabilities that were missed by detection tools, but later confirmed through manual testing or breach investigations. These accuracy metrics help analysts evaluate and refine scanning tools, tuning their configurations to minimize noise while maximizing visibility into genuine issues. KPIs focused on patch deployment success rates provide additional clarity into operational effectiveness. These metrics evaluate how many patches were applied successfully compared to how many failed or were rolled back. High success rates indicate strong planning, thorough testing, and coordination between security and IT operations. Low success rates suggest quality assurance issues, system incompatibilities, or breakdowns in the patching process that must be addressed to improve reliability. Vulnerability aging is a valuable metric that tracks how long vulnerabilities remain unresolved. This can be measured in days, weeks, or even months, and is often broken down by severity category. Aging metrics help highlight the organization's responsiveness and risk tolerance. A growing backlog of aging vulnerabilities may indicate that remediation is under-resourced, improperly prioritized, or suffering from process inefficiencies. Aging reports are especially helpful for audits, leadership reviews, and compliance checks. Finally, asset coverage metrics measure the percentage of the organization's infrastructure that is being actively scanned for vulnerabilities. This includes systems, applications, devices, and cloud environments. High asset coverage ensures that risks are being identified across the full attack surface. Low coverage suggests blind spots, tool misconfigurations, or incomplete inventories. Ensuring comprehensive asset scanning is one of the most direct ways to improve both detection accuracy and risk awareness. For more cyber-related content and books, please check out cyberauthor.me. Also, there are more security courses on cybersecurity and more at baremetalcyber.com. API dashboards and trend analyses offer powerful tools for visualizing vulnerability management performance. These visual tools aggregate key metrics such as remediation timelines, severity trends, and open vulnerability counts. Dashboards help leadership quickly assess current risk levels, identify areas falling behind in remediation, and evaluate whether performance is improving or declining over time. Trend analysis also allows organizations to correlate vulnerability management efforts with changes in threat exposure, system growth, or security policy updates, making it easier to identify patterns and align strategic goals. Metrics evaluating compliance with internal policies or external regulatory standards are also essential. These KPIs measure whether vulnerability management activities meet the organization's defined expectations or legal obligations. For example, a policy might require remediation of critical vulnerabilities within 30 days. A KPI that tracks adherence to this policy enables security teams to monitor compliance continuously. Deviations from expectations can be flagged for investigation, prioritized for correction, or escalated to leadership. These compliance-focused metrics are also valuable for audits and regulatory assessments. Some KPIs translate vulnerability data into business-centric language by focusing on the potential financial or operational impacts of unresolved security issues. These business impact KPIs assign dollar values, downtime estimates, or customer disruption metrics to high-risk vulnerabilities. This approach helps non-technical stakeholders understand the significance of cybersecurity findings and supports risk-based prioritization. By framing vulnerabilities in terms of potential business harm, cybersecurity teams can secure executive buy-in and resource support more effectively. Zero-day vulnerability tracking is another advanced KPI category. These metrics monitor how quickly the organization identifies and responds to newly disclosed vulnerabilities for which no official patches exist at the time of discovery. Rapid containment, temporary workarounds, or configuration changes are typically needed while permanent solutions are developed. KPIs in this area measure speed of detection, interim protection deployment, and time to full remediation. Monitoring performance on zero-day responses helps demonstrate organizational agility and resilience in high-risk situations. Vulnerability reopen rates offer insight into the quality and sustainability of remediation efforts. This KPI tracks how often previously remediated vulnerabilities return in subsequent assessments. High reopen rates may indicate incomplete fixes, process errors, or poor coordination during remediation. Tracking this metric encourages thorough verification of completed actions and highlights systems or teams that may require additional training or oversight. It also supports continuous process improvement by identifying the root causes of failed remediations. Risk reduction effectiveness metrics measure the actual impact of vulnerability management over time. Rather than focusing solely on activity-based measures such as patch counts, these metrics assess whether the organization's overall risk exposure is decreasing. This may involve comparing aggregate vulnerability scores, breach frequency, or threat simulation outcomes before and after remediation cycles. These effectiveness indicators demonstrate that remediation efforts are producing tangible security gains and not simply completing checklists. Exception tracking metrics are another important category. These KPIs document how many vulnerabilities are formally exempted from remediation due to business constraints, operational dependencies, or technical limitations. By monitoring exceptions, organizations maintain visibility into known risks that are being accepted or deferred. This ensures that exemptions are not forgotten and that mitigation strategies remain in place. Exception metrics also support transparency during audits and help prioritize long-term planning to eventually eliminate the need for such exceptions. Resource allocation efficiency is a KPI that measures the cost-effectiveness of vulnerability remediation. This involves analyzing the resources spent on remediation tasks compared to the reduction in risk achieved. By combining financial data with technical metrics, organizations can identify whether investments in tools, personnel, or outsourcing are yielding appropriate returns. High-efficiency metrics suggest that the organization is managing risk wisely. Low-efficiency results may prompt reevaluation of processes, vendors, or tool sets. Cross-departmental KPIs assess collaboration between various organizational units during the remediation process. These indicators might include average response time across departments, shared resolution rates, or communication error frequency. By analyzing how well security, IT, compliance, and business units work together, organizations can identify coordination gaps that delay remediation. These metrics support process optimization and reinforce the importance of shared responsibility in managing vulnerabilities effectively. Dr. Shush, thank you for joining me. Finally, customer or external stakeholder impact metrics monitor how well vulnerability management activities prevent disruptions, data exposure, or reputational harm. These KPIs might include breach avoidance statistics, reduction in service downtime due to vulnerabilities, or the number of security customer complaints. External-facing metrics help validate the effectiveness of internal remediation programs and demonstrate a commitment to transparency and trustworthiness, especially in industries where customer confidence is tightly linked to perceived security. To summarize episode 120, metrics and key performance indicators provide the structure needed to evaluate, guide, and improve every aspect of vulnerability management. From basic counts to business indicators, these measures enable continuous improvement, drive accountability, and support informed decision-making at all levels of the organization. By mastering these concepts, cybersecurity professionals can better demonstrate their impact, optimize their processes, and ensure that their organizations remain secure in the face of evolving threats. Thanks for listening. To learn more about cybersecurity, please visit baremetalcyber.com. There you will find best-selling books, videos, and even more free cybersecurity training courses. Please subscribe to the Prepcast and our various podcasts. And thanks for listening.